We can say that your trademark movie of your whole career is Re-Animator, and there is a lot of talk about the new one, House of Re-Animator. What's going on with
doesn't
that?
look like
Internet
it's
Movie
gonna
Database says 2010. So.
I don't. You know, the problem is it was the way it was conceived by Stuart Gordon was more as a satire on Bush.
Oh, I know.
And ever since,
no, it's passé.
well, it's just that ever since the election where the Democrats took back over Congress, it's starting to go it's quit having the punch. If it came out right now, it would be great. I'm a little concerned. I like the idea of West in the White House, but I'm not so concerned. I'm not so interested in a Romana Clef type of, you know, you have Cheney and Bush and these characters, because the first time we ever talked about House of Re-Animator was when Reagan was the president.
Oh.
And it was supposed to be it was supposed to be Bride of Re-Animator, the sequel to Re-Animator.
But
and
you
the idea
decided to do Bride instead.
Yeah, and the idea was that that Reagan, everybody always said he was dead anyway. He was always falling asleep. You know, that he was just a puppet, just a figurehead. And so this was the joke then. Then when Bush comes in, you have the joke that the vice president's really the president.
Yeah,
Bush is just an idiot. I'm not. I like the idea of the White House for Herbert West, but I think sometimes it's. I don't think that horror specifically handles well political issues. I know society is completely political in its in its explanation and in the structure, but it's also very strongly has to do with incest.
Have you ever seen Re-Penetrator?
I never have seen it.
Have you heard about it? It's porn
Yeah, I
version
think
of
you told me about it.
It's really big in the internet. The new classic. Are you proud that you're doing porn versions of your movie?
I was proud when I saw Re-Animator, the word Re-Animator, used in a newspaper editorial a year or so after we made the movie. Because I remember specifically that word Re-Animator I had never really run into before, except in the Lovecraft story, until we made the movie. And then the word became used as reanimating this, reanimating the dead. It became part of the lexicon. In fact, the way the title of Re-Animator is not even a word, because I added a hyphen between re and animator. Oh. So if you ever see it with the hyphen, that's a made-up word that was made up for the title, because when I was trying to think of the title for the movie, I was worried about using the word Re-Animator because nobody would know what it was. They'd think it was about a guy who redrew animations. You know, a Re-Animator.
Re-Animator.
Yeah. And then the word Reanimator, all in one word, the way it is in the Lovecraft story, to an English reader, that seems to spell Re-Animator.
Oh.
R-E-A-N in English normally would be pronounced Reen, like it was one long E.
Yes.
And I was afraid people wouldn't understand it, so I put a dash so that they would know that it's re and another word and put the capital. So I was really thrilled when I saw that. I was thrilled that when John Kerry was running for president, people said he looked like Dr. Hill, which he did completely.
Yes.
I thought that was great, you know? And I, even more so, one of the things that gave me the greatest pleasure was when Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out. And that was a movie that I worked up the story with Stuart Gordon on when we were having a barbecue at my house. And my inspiration from it, from my part, I always remembered being a kid and playing with soldiers and in the grass and thinking how incredibly dramatic the roots of a tree and the erosion of the dirt and the blades of grass were if you got way down into it. Yeah. So one of the original ideas for that movie was riding on an ant and riding on a bee. And when I saw the riding on a bee on a McDonald's cup, I thought, wow, this is amazing that you can think of something and it ends up
everywhere.
everywhere.
Basically.
And I'm sure everybody feels that way who creates something or who originates something, because of course I didn't draw it, I didn't act it, I didn't do the effect, you know. But when you have some kind of part of something that becomes part of the popular culture, I think it's a great feeling, because it makes you feel like you're a part of the culture.
So do you have any new ideas to make it global, part of popular culture, and new projects? What's next if House of Re-Animator is practically dead project?
House of Re-Animator.
Yeah. You see how it goes in your mind.
With Re-Animator, if you're talking about Re-Animator, you know, I do have this idea. I tried to finance House of Re-Animator. It was just, I couldn't get all the money together for that budget. Once we bring back Stewart, Jeffrey Combs, we're going to have William Macy play the president. Everything becomes, you know, everybody needs to make money. On the first time around, they did it for nothing almost. You know, but once something kind of has some identity, then people want to be paid, logically so. The rights cost, and all of a sudden the budget goes up to the point where you have to make it a theatrical release. If it's a theatrical release, the cost of releasing it in the U.S. is more than the budget. It becomes more complicated, and unfortunately, I'm kind of a low-end guy who doesn't know how to make that happen well enough. But I did try to sell a trilogy of House of Re-Animator, Re-Animator Unbound, and Re-Animator Begins. A trilogy that would finish off the Re-Animator saga. So I had all the stories worked out, but maybe I'll do them in comic books now. It's cheaper.
Okay, thanks.